Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. So this is going to be a video about this Popeyes, I'm not going to say controversy, but I just wanted to make this video because I feel like a lot of people have an issue when like niggas have fun with something. A lot of people. So, okay, what inspired me to make this video was Janelle Monáe put out a tweet about oh my gosh, I'm paraphrasing, but it was essentially like, oh my gosh, like niggas love chicken. Imagine if niggas love to vote, It was basically like, oh, we should like set up polling places at like Popeyes and like maybe black people would vote type of thing. And she ended up apologizing for it because a lot of people got on her ass rightfully about the tweet. People were like, hey, people, like, number one, there's no correlation between a Popeyes chicken sandwich and black people voting. It's sort of like there is a Popeyes on every block most of the time in like the hood or like in like black neighborhoods, and there is not a polling place on every block, and there are specific sort of systemic reasons as to why, including like voter suppression, not wanting, it's a lot of the times it's like really, really hard for black Americans to go vote, going back to like historically, oh, they know we couldn't like read or write, so like, oh, there's a literacy test, or we're gonna shut down this polling place, we're gonna shut down that polling place, so people have to like wait online, long lines. Voting is not a national holiday, so you can't take time off from work. You either have to like go after work and wait in long lines, go before work and wait in long lines, or try to like take the day off, which not everybody can do. Like sticking to like the voting example specifically, there's like tons of like reasons that go back to systemic racism and like deliberate voter suppression, trying to suppress the black vote, that go back to like why there's a Popeye. And when you want to get into like why is there a Popeyes on every block, now we're getting into like food deserts, food apartheid, food racism, the fact that they don't build, grocery stores in black neighborhoods. They don't make it accessible for us, again, to have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. Instead, they put fast food, they put Popeyes, they put Wendy's, they put McDonald's, they put liquor stores, they put corner stores, they put gas stations. I did this urban agriculture program last year, which some of you know about, and a lot of that also boils down to capitalism and big agri, which is big agriculture, which is that, ultimately the role of a grocery store is to make money, right? And so they look at what is 9 times out of 10 a low income neighborhood, right? Which is a black neighborhood most of the time, and there are reasons specifically why black Americans are historically disenfranchised and end up fucking poor. Like, it's deliberate, it's systemic racism, right? So then they look at the neighborhood and they say, oh, this is a low income neighborhood, there's not a lot of money in this neighborhood, it costs upwards of $100,000 to open a grocery store, so if we put a grocery store in that neighborhood, we're not going to make money because there's no money in the neighborhood, so we can't put a grocery store there. Like, it's like, but that's still a neighborhood, there's still people there that need to eat, right? And so income, like the fast food chains and things of that nature, again, all this stuff is like systemic and goes back to like larger issues with systemic racism. So number one, people felt like it was in poor taste, it was crass and tasteless, because it was basically respectability politics and like sort of like getting huffy and looking down your nose on motherfucking niggas, like, oh, you niggas love motherfucking Popeyes, but you can't go vote. And people are like, what the fuck does a Popeyes chicken sandwich have to do with voting? Nothing, right? Like, absolutely nothing. Number one, there's reasons for voter suppression. There's reasons why there's a tons of Popeyes. There's also a lot of like stereotypes, like as if black people don't vote, which isn't even true, because like we can say, number one, Americans by and large don't vote, right? Like, Americans don't vote. But if we start looking at demographics and breaking it down by group and by race, black Americans do fucking vote. Like, we come out in droves to vote, all right? Like, if you want to go look at the fucking numbers and the demographics, I will include some links in the description box for you guys, right? Black Americans do vote, number one. Number two, I just feel like people hate to see niggas having fun with something. I really don't like it. There's been a lot of like memes going around about like, oh, you guys are buying like chicken sandwiches from Popeyes, but you like not supporting black owned businesses. Let's get into that a little bit as well. Number one, Popeyes is a franchise. There are several Popeyes that are owned by black people, right? Hank Aaron, right? Former baseball player, He owns several Popeyes, right? I was reading another one. I can't remember the guy's name right now, but I will include more information on this as well in the description box. He's like an Atlanta businessman. He owns like 27 like Popeyes, you know? I think I read that like the top earning Popeyes, like out of the top 5 earning Popeyes in the country, like 2 or 3 of them are owned by like black people, right? So like number one, you can't just assume that because it's Popeyes, it's not black owned, okay? Like, number one, we can start there, right? Number two, if you feel so strongly about like, oh, we need to like get into, you know, black owned businesses, or we need to get into like, I've seen a lot of people say like, oh, niggas could go hard for like Popeyes, but they can't go hard for like eating healthy. It's like, what be the change you want to see in the world? Like, if you feel so strongly, Janelle Monáe, about like voting, why don't you go pull up at your local Popeyes? Doesn't she live in Atlanta? Like, or wherever she lives, I'm sure there's a Popeyes. Why don't you go pull up at your local Popeyes and register people to vote? I also saw another story going around. Can't think of this kid's name either, but I'm definitely going to include a link to this story in the description box as well, of like a 17-year-old kid. I'm trying to think of his name, but I can't think of his name. But a 17-year-old kid that like pulled up at his local Popeyes and was like standing outside and was like registering people to vote while they waited in the line, right? He didn't fucking go complain about it on Twitter for some likes to look down his nose on niggas like he's God's gift to motherfucking niggas everywhere. He actually went and pulled up at the Popeyes himself, 17 years old, and was registering people to vote. There's nothing stopping you, right? There's literally nothing stopping you from using that same energy to go to your local Popeyes. Popeyes is public. It's a public area. There's nothing stopping you from going and taking your little produce, your little fresh fruits and vegetables, and setting up on the sidewalk outside of the Popeyes. From setting up your little lemonade stand outside of the Popeyes, from setting up with a sign advertising your local black-owned business outside of the Popeyes. There's literally nothing stopping anyone from doing that. Everyone can go do that if that's what they wanted, if that's what they so choose to do, to sort of take advantage of the advertising of a Popeyes right now. I don't even eat chicken anymore. As you guys know, I went pescatarian. I feel like I would understand it if maybe some of the criticism was like factory farming and, you know, the excessive use of factory farming to create this chicken, right, and to create this poultry and to create these meats, right, and how it's having such a, I saw somebody say like, this is a distraction from the fact that the Amazon is on fire, and I was like, how, like, what does point A have to, like, people love conflating issues of shit that has absolutely nothing to do with each other. Like, what does point A, how do we get from point A to point B? What does the one thing have to do with the other? Now, maybe if your point was like, okay, the production method to create all of this chicken for all of these Popeyes is part of what's leading to global warming, because it is, right? Because the factories, they like pump out all of this noxious smoke and then create all this air pollution, and then it gets trapped in the atmosphere, which does in fact contribute to global warming and climate change. They also pump out a lot of stuff into the water supply, and they contaminate rivers, and there's a lot of runoff that gets into the ocean. Factories also have these like meat factories also have a tendency to fuck up the land that they're on. You know, they send poison into the like the actual land, like the soil, the earth that they're on. They pump the fucking animals and the chickens full of chemicals and like GMOs. They're like genetically modified, you know, and then that stuff goes into us when we eat it. You know, that type of thing I could see, right? If we're gonna complain about like the production of the chicken and how it's bad for the earth and how it's bad for the environment. But it's just like that. I haven't seen not one person make that point. I've seen points get made about niggas can eat chicken but they can't vote. I've seen points made about this is a distraction from the Amazon. I've seen points made about, you know, oh, people get excited about chicken but they won't get excited about eating like healthy fresh fruits and vegetables. And it's just like, I also saw a really good post that kind of like pushed back and was like, again, you also have to understand that there's like larger systemic issues at play in terms of, yet again, why there's a Popeyes on every block but not a voting booth on every block. You also have to understand that there are larger things at play in terms of the marketing that Popeyes can afford, in terms of all these things. But I also think that at the end of the day too, like, a Popeyes meme is not hurting anybody. People having some fun, joking around, and it's just like people hate to see niggas happy and excited, and especially if it's something sort of like stereotypical, like, oh, niggas love fried chicken, you know, niggas love Jordans, you know, you have Jordans but you don't have a passport. It's just another way for people to like sit up on high and look down their nose on black people, and especially like black Americans. And again, it's like you could take all that energy that you're using and like put that into actually doing something productive yourself. If your issue is that you don't feel like black people are voting enough, even though we do vote, there's nothing stopping you from being like the 17-year-old kid and posting up at your local Popeyes and registering people to vote. Janelle Monáe. Let me say again, she did apologize. She said like she listened to the tweets that people said to her, explaining to her, you know, like there's systemic reasons behind like voting. There's systemic reasons behind why there's a Popeyes on every block. You know, like you putting out this tweet was really extremely arrogant and condescending and played into a lot of respectability politics. Her bosom buddy, Cynthia Erivo, of course agreed because she don't like us black Americans anyway. You know, people were just like, it wasn't cool. And so she did apologize for the tweet being inconsiderate, inappropriate, and condescending. And it's just like, again, you have all this money, you could be out registering people to vote yourself if you really wanted to and if you really fucking cared, but instead you sent out a tweet to condescend and look down on your fellow black American. I'm not with that, right? If you really care so much about black owned businesses, people are like, y'all support Popeyes, but you want to support a black owned business. Y'all know me, like I'm all about black owned businesses. Every year I do a black owned gift guide. Last Friday of every month, which actually would have been last Friday, but this Friday. Last Friday of every month, I do like a black-owned business unboxing. You know, I'm constantly posting about black-owned businesses on my social media, on my Instagram, and I know people that are constantly, you know, posting about it, or people that are black business owners, small business owners that also are just posting the memes for fun. Like it's this just weird binary thinking of like, since y'all are doing this, you're not doing that. You don't know what people are doing while they enjoy their motherfucking Popeyes chicken sandwich. And again, like I don't even eat chicken, so like I really don't care. I have no dog in this fight. But it's just very interesting to me to see like how people, when they see black Americans having fun with something and making these memes and kind of joking around and trying the chicken sandwich out, there's this assumption that like because you're eating the chicken sandwich, you're not doing this or you're not doing that. And I just feel like it's just like you're just mad because you see people having some fun, having a good time. And again, you could be using your own time and energy, if you care about voting, to put your time and energy into that. You could be using your own time and energy, if you care about people eating healthy, to put your time and energy into that. I wanted to eat more healthy. I wanted to learn more about ethical and sustainable eating. I wanted to learn more about urban agriculture. I wanted to learn more about factory farming and the way that it was affecting the planet. So I did some research. I got into the urban agriculture program. I made choices for myself about what I was going to eat. But I'm not going to get up on high and shame anybody for making a fucking joke about a goddamn chicken sandwich. Like, how fucking miserable are you, my dude? Like, I have a lot of issues with our organized government and political system, absolutely, but I'm not about to make some damn non-existent connection between a Popeyes chicken sandwich and voting. What is wrong with you? It's just like, people are mad weird with the shit, right? Now, again, I wouldn't eat it, and I wouldn't encourage anybody to eat it, mostly just because of like the factory farming, which was my first thought when I was like, oh my goodness, like people are eating all these sandwiches and they're running out of like chicken. That's just gonna be like, they're gonna ramp up like the factory farming production of like poultry, which is like not good for the planet. And I have not seen, just me personally, not one person make that point. Instead, niggas is talking about randomness, right? It's just like, let people have their fun. Stop looking down your nose on motherfuckers, again, like you were God's gift to niggas everywhere, in the eternal, immortal words of Kid Cudi. And if you care so much, like, you do some shit yourself and be the change you want to see in the world, instead of like harassing other people that are just having some fun. That's all I gotta say about that. I am going to include links to the stuff that I mentioned. Oh, and again, like I said, remember that also a lot of these fucking places are in fact franchises that a lot of black people even do own, right? So maybe like look up to see who's the owner of your local neighborhood fucking Popeyes, and maybe find a black owned one if you really like feel that strongly. You know, like there's things you can do. So I will include links in the description box to black owners of some of these franchises. I will include links to the 17-year-old kid that was registering people to vote in the Popeyes line, and I will include links to some other things that I mentioned in this video. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.